Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel, a mother of 3, and I have a motherhood and lifestyle channel. But the question that I get asked most from my audience is how I got my hair this color, how I got it so long and healthy for being so bleached, because if you're blonde, you'll know your hair is usually not healthy at all. And so I wanted to have long hair, but I wanted it to be super bright and blonde. So I really committed to a lot of these tips and I'm going to share them with you today. So if you want to see how I get my hair so long, so blonde and full, then just keep watching. So my hair has not always been like this at all. I have gone through every single color of hair you can imagine. I've had red hair, I've had black hair, I've had brown hair, I've had the balayage look. I've had so many different colors, and I usually go back and forth between like the darkest color you can have and the brightest color you can have. So if you're familiar with hair coloring, you'll know that that is really bad for your hair, and it's not going to make your hair healthy. I'm gonna insert a before picture of my hair right here, and you'll see that it is super short. It's not as bright blonde, and a lot of that was really damaged, like really heat damaged, and my scalp was irritated. Like, it was just not a good time, and I really didn't like my hair being that short, so I always wore it up in a clip. And I really committed to all of these tips I'm going to give you, and that is what got me from there to here. So if you look like my before picture, just know that these tips are going to work for you. If you aren't subscribed to my channel and you've just happened upon this video because you are looking to grow your hair long, I have been there and I have watched like every single grow your hair long video, and all of these girls have dark hair, or they don't ever use heat because their hair is straight, or they dye their hair black or brown, which isn't as bad for your hair because it's not opening up the cuticle and causing it to be more porous and get more damage. So I hope this video can help some of you. Even if you don't have blonde hair, these are like the extreme tips. Like, your hair will be way longer than mine if you don't have blonde hair. So when you're trying to grow your hair long, it's basically about maintaining the hair that you have and trying to preserve it to last as long as it can. If you are doing everything you can to make the inside of your body healthy and taking biotin, taking sugar bear hair or whatever, you can do that and your hair will grow from the root. But if you're not maintaining what you have, that hair is going to break off and you're just going to get your roots coming in and your hair is not growing any longer. So if you see every month that your roots are growing in and your ends are not growing any longer, it is because you're not maintaining what you have. So my first tip, and this is an extreme tip, is to limit your heat or don't use any heat at all. I went extreme and I stopped using heat for a really long time. Like, I would use Velcro hair rollers that look like this, and when my hair was air dried, I would take the hair, roll it up on these rollers and pin it and let it completely air dry. And then when you take it out, your hair literally looks like a blow dry. Like, honestly, if you guys are afraid to not use heat, I would use these and pin them up, and that really got me through that initial stage of not using heat, because after you stop using heat for so long, your hair won't get as frizzy and it will look a lot better the longer you go without using heat. So if you can't completely avoid heat, like, only do it once or twice a week. Before I started my hair journey, I would curl my hair like every day. So I was using a lot of heat. So don't use heat if you can. My next tip is to stop going to the hairdresser to get your hair cut. People say like, yeah, go get your hair trimmed and make sure you trim it every so often or whatever. But I went to hair school, and I know that when you're doing a haircut, the hairstylist is trying to line up every line perfectly, get every layer perfectly in line. And so what they'll do is they'll look at the most solid area of your hair and cut off all the parts that are not part of that solid area. So I decided I'm not gonna go to a hairstylist because they're going to take off too much of my hair, and I'm fine with the way my hair looks if I cut it myself. So I started to cut it myself, and what I would do is comb it down and just cut off like the scraggly ends, And then what you also do is you can take your hair and fold it like this over your finger, and make sure you're using like really sharp scissors or hairdressing scissors, and slowly go down and cut off just the little ends of your hair. And that will make sure that you are maintaining what you have, you're not taking off too much of the length, and you're cutting off the dead ends, because if your hair is damaged, you're gonna have dead ends up here too. They're not just down here. So you have to make sure that you're thoroughly going through your hair every so often and cutting off the split ends or the ends that look like kind of jaggedy almost. I would just keep cutting my hair to grow out the layers. If I have not cut out my layers, my hair would have probably been to my tailbone. My next tip is to get yourself a wet brush, really soft on the hair, and it's not gonna pull through the knots as easily. And when you brush your hair, you should brush from the bottom upward. Don't take it from down here and pull down, because it's gonna break your hair, and in maintaining your hair, you have to make sure that you're not breaking your hair. But my next tip is to use It's a 10 detangling spray. I have used this since the beginning of when I started my hair journey, and I have found it from like other people's YouTube videos who have long hair, and it's really helped. I have been using that since I started my hair journey, and it has helped so much when my hair is wet to try and brush it. I don't like to wait until my hair is completely dry to brush it, because by then it's really wavy. Right now I'm at the point where I can go some days without even blow drying my hair. I just brush through my hair and it becomes straight, because I've gone so long without using so much heat. So my next tip is to not let your hair get like all tangled up into your coat. Like, you know those Sherpa sweaters and Sherpa coats? I have one of them, but I always tuck my hair into it where it's not fuzzy on the inside. But if you're always having your hair rub against like fuzzy things, like say this pillow, like it's just not as good for your hair. So I actually have my pillow here. I use a silk pillow, and it really helps so that my hair doesn't rub against things, and keeps the cuticle flat and down. Another thing I've done is that if you have a conditioner that has a lot of silicone in it, your hair is gonna end up being more dry than it would be if you weren't using a silicone shampoo or conditioner. If you're using something with silicone in it for the conditioner, you should be using a really high sulfate shampoo to be able to strip your hair basically. So you want to be taking that silicone off of your hair, because if silicone keeps layering on top of each other, you're just going to have like a big plastic layer on top of your hair, and it's going to be really dry and tangly and crinkly. So if your hair's like that, you could have like a buildup of silicone on your hair. So to get that off, you're going to need to use something that is really high in sulfates. And in the beginning, I stopped using all sulfates, and my conditioners were more natural. And as I went on, the sulfate-free shampoos weren't really taking off the silicone. So if you're going to use sulfate-free shampoo, make sure that your conditioner doesn't have silicone, and if you are using a really high sulfate shampoo, make sure you have something with silicone to kind of like, you know, tame your hair. Another thing that I did was I stopped going to the hairstylist to get my hair bleached. I used to get highlights, and that would be like 200 Canadian dollars, and my hair would be fried after. They would put me under a dryer to speed up the process, and that's just too much for your hair in my opinion. They do it to save time, and maybe they think there's nothing wrong with it because they see you at the salon, but they don't see you as the weeks go by and your hair is falling off. So I started doing it by myself. I started just doing bleach on my hair with a toner, and I went to hair school, so I know what I'm doing in that sense, but I don't overlap the bleach on top of old bleach, and I make sure that I'm not putting my hair under any heat. I'm just watching it develop until it's at its perfect color, which is a light pale yellow, and then I will tone it with Wella T18. So those are some of my tips on how I got my hair like this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope these tips have been helpful for you. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and make sure you subscribe to see my hair in a couple of months. We'll see if it gets even longer than this.